internet. Don't fail us. This episode is brought to you by yours truly, Matt Norn of Remax Bell Park. For all of your real estate needs, call me, 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Welcome to the Community Workbench. This is Matt Norn and Kyle Morrissey's fill-in, Justin Gilbert. We are your hosts of the #1 podcast, In My Basement. At the bench, we try to repair the sense of community, so every week we bring you small businesses, entrepreneurs, community leaders, charities, and pretty much whoever we feel like talking to. And today we feel like talking to David Lee, T Genna, and Pat Boyd about the Scouts in this area. So Troop 44 and June Norcross Webster Scout Reservation and some of the events we have coming up. How you doing, guys?
Thanks for having us back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Welcome back to the bench. I think everybody's been here before. So, John, why don't you start us off? What position are you in? What are you here for? What are we talking about?
What am I here for? Why am I here? So I am the Scoutmaster of Troop 44, as you both know because you're my assistant Scoutmasters.
You're talking to like two viewers, so you gotta let them know.
So I'm Scoutmaster of Troop 44. We are a boy group. We're not a co-ed group. In Brooklyn, Connecticut, currently we're meeting at the Brooklyn Elementary School gym on Thursday night, 7 p.m. We may be looking at another location this year, which will give us a little bit more options. But for the time being, that's where we're meeting. We always encourage any youth that are interested in the program to come check us out. Even if you're not the right age, we would get you with the Cub Scouts, which I'm not sure what day they meet on. I think they meet on Sundays. But we'd get you in charge with the right group if they were the wrong age, as you guys have seen before. Every now and then we'll get a we'll get a fourth grader that comes in, wants to join Boy Scouts. And unfortunately we got Scouts BSA. We have to say, hey, look, why don't you come back and see us next year? But in the meantime, we'll get them down at the pack level so they can start getting acclimated to the scouting ways.
Yeah, Pack 44 is co-ed.
Yep.
It's they meet on Sundays over at Brooklyn Cares Community Center, and they're basically 10 and under, essentially. And
Yeah,
they get to about 10 or 11, then they move up to the troop, which is where John's the Scoutmaster for, and then if you're female, you would go to Troop 90 with Chip Goss.
And they also meet at the community center.
Right.
I don't know what day they meet on now.
I think
they
Tuesdays.
I think
Tuesdays
right.
they meet. So, so if scouting's, if you're even just a little curious about it, definitely reach out to any of the platforms you see tagged here or this platform. Pat, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
So
I just finished my 21st season as the camp director at the June Norcross Webster Scout Reservation, or Jane Webster as it's called.
Congratulations.
We just had about 2,000 kids come through from all over the United States, Connecticut, including Brooklyn. So Troop 44 was in camp for the week, as you guys well know. And the cool spot where I sit is I get to work with troops and packs from all over the Northeast who come to camp for a week. And, that is your week to be a scout 100% of the time. You stay overnight and canvas wall tents, just like, when I was a kid. Troop 54 in Plainfield is where I was, Eagle Scout out of there. And, the experience and 3 meals in the dining hall and about 90 employees. We are the largest employer in Ashford for this.
Wow.
And,
That's awesome.
And another 25, 30 volunteers that come up and perform roles, guys like Dave, who do that. So it's just, I find, Scout Camp just to be a remarkable environment. Yeah. And it's well worth the 2 months that I spend away from kind of the rest of the world, because you really see, kids at their best, right? They come to camp, they do new things, and it was a really good season. Yeah,
what we tell the parents is like, hey, this is like your Super Bowl of the year. This is like what we've been training for. This is it's a lot of fun. My kid loves it. He went to 2 weeks this year. So you did a Thunderbird where he didn't go with his troop. Yeah, and he had a great experience both weeks with his troop and with Thunderbirds, they make it up with all the random.
Yeah, it's that's your traditional camp, right? You think of it it's like the Goonies, right? You're going to in a cabin camping with people you don't know. Most kids come to camp with their home units, like Troop 44. But we probably had about 150, 160 kids that came in over the course of the summer. Hadn't met any of the other kids in there. They were a unit for that week, and some do specialty programs. And
Yeah.
we got 1,200 acres in Ashford right on Route 44, and I think most people who hadn't been involved in the scouting program go back and forth. They've seen the signs, but they have no idea what's behind there. And I constantly get that from delivery drivers or guests saying, "Wow, I've never been in here before. What a remarkable place." So,
Yeah. It's like 1,300 acres, right?
yeah, 1,200. Yeah,
1,200
Yep.
acres. Okay. You guys run for 7 weeks
Correct. 7 program weeks. We do a staff development week.
before,
Before and
and
takedown afterwards.
take down after.
And right now we're hosting a group that is Lithuanian Scouts of America, which are basically American citizens who practice scouting as it was in Lithuania prior to the Soviet Union forbidding scouting. So
Oh, wow.
many of their ancestors moved to the United States, and they've stayed connected with kind of their roots, and they practice camp and scouting, which is all based off Baden-Powell to begin with. So
Yeah.
it's not a huge stretch, right? The Scout Hall, it's the Scout Law. It's just got a lot of unique things. Some of the best pioneering projects you'll ever see in your
Oh,
life
wow.
are going on right now.
Wow.
So we provide program support for them, the waterfront, the shooting ranges, that type of stuff. So
Nice.
this is the unofficial end of the season. So
Right. And then how many can you host at once per week?
yeah, so the dining hall fits about 500 people.
Nice.
Right. So the biggest resident week is about 310, and then adult leaders like yourselves who are chaperones. I always tell outside people, what is a scoutmaster, right?
Yeah.
They're in effect chaperones from the home community because
Yeah.
your troop meets year round and has a year round program, and for the summer that entity, the nucleus exists. And so, with staff, with scoutmasters and scouts, it's about 500. We had a few weeks where every table was used in the dining hall, which is great. It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable to stand at one end, and it's almost like looking down a football field of
Yeah.
scouting, and when they're chanting and singing and
Yeah.
waving their napkins and singing about bananas and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The kids love the songs and the skits and everything.
Which is interesting. I've done this long enough now that as I go out and do other parts of my job year round, I've walked into a meeting at the state capitol before, and some kid who remembers me, he's not a kid anymore, he's
Right.
28-year-old lawyer, looks at me and goes, banana? Did somebody say banana? Right? And the other people looking like, is he nuts? So these things stick with you.
That's funny. That's great.
That's great, though.
Yeah. And Dave Lee, how are you?
Good. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
So you are more of the council level or district level?
Council level. So I'm a member of the committee of Troop 44 still.
Correct,
right?
correct,
Product
yep.
of Troop 44, Eagle Scout of Troop 44.
Nice.
So I've been around a while in Brooklyn Scouting. My current role is with the council as Vice President of District Operations. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But we do have 4 districts in Connecticut, Rivers Council, that kind of are the middle management group of scouting and help units facilitate their program via advancement, camping, promotion, whatever the unit needs. The resources immediately above them are at the district level, and my job is to help manage that process and make sure it happens.
Is it easier to count the positions you haven't held in Scouts than the ones that you have held?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Dave's a little modest.
That's great for podcasting.
I know. The camp is owned by the Connecticut Rivers Council, right, which is the nonprofit entity for 127 towns in the state of Connecticut, soon to be more. And it's governed by a board of directors of about 25 individuals. That Dave is a member of the council's board of directors, and they're responsible for setting the budget and having a fiduciary and fiscal responsibility for the health and safety of the scouting program. The camp's part of, and units look for direction for that.
But
So.
my most important task for the last 7 weeks was to bring coffee to Mr. Boyd
Yes.
Sunday and Wednesdays.
That's correct. And he was faithful in his discharge of his duties. And he also volunteered, with the health center with 2,000 kids coming through and medications for a week. We have RNs on duty, EMTs, and Dave was a regular volunteer to help check everybody in on Sundays and provide some overnight coverage when the population's smaller on Friday. And so we appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah.
An old camp staffer back in the day. Our motto is you can check out any time you'd like, but you can never leave. So there's some way that June calls you back. So.
And it's got to be said that Dave is a big part of our mentor.
Right.
He's blushing
Troop
now. Look what you've
44.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my go-to when I have questions about, hey, how did this used to be done? Because he loves to tell you how he did it when he was a scoutmaster.
Well, I view my role as someone to prevent the paperwork from having to happen.
Well, as committee chair, I will say Dave, John, and Justin are all on my speed dial. I might put Pat on my speed dial too. I don't know.
There you go. I don't know. Helicopters are landing in my field, and they're talking about their great realtor. I'm like, well, who's that? Small world.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that goes to
funny.
the issue, or the one of the byproducts from an adult perspective for scouting is the connections that you develop and relationships you build, and I have friends that were in scouting when I was a youth, and I still connect with them. I still communicate with them. And I remember when the first time I met Pat, the first summer I met Pat, I think I walked into the old office of the building on the camp, and I said, "This is the first time I'd been in there for almost 15 years." And I won't explain what happened on the way the last time I was there, but the moral of the story was, you can walk away, but you're never going to leave the program or leave the camaraderie and the fellowship that developed in that process.
Well, it's that shared experience, right? And in the legislature, there's 4 Eagle Scouts, and we all kind of found ourselves because there's a certain skill set, there's a certain kind of ability to collaborate that the world needs more of.
Right.
And it's really interesting how the Eagle Scouts, no matter where you are, find each other. There's a former staff member who's a state trooper, and when he was talking about going through recruit training, there were 4 Eagle Scouts in his class, and that just came up organically through the shared experience of that. So, being an Eagle Scout still means something, and it's amazing how paths intertwine.
For sure, the Eagle Scout thing is very hard to do. Actually, Justin did it too. You're Eagle Scout. So.
Yep, I was with Troop 25 out of Putnam under Bill Aldrich's tutelage.
I was Bill's program director when he was camp director before me. So.
Yep, and you've had it ever since, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did it for 3 years, and I was on the hook for the next 21. Doesn't seem equitable.
And counting.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you think the future is? You want to stay and keep going?
We don't give them that option.
Yeah. August is not the time to ask about next
opinion.
season.
I'm not saying you're allowed to do any of it.
The summer, I've never been a scoutmaster or unit level, and I'm sure it's a very different experience, particularly with your own kids going through it. But the camp environment is just, there's something about it that has an energy or a vibe. Mm-hmm. And, now that scouting is co-ed and the camp environment's co-ed, the old timers are like, it's all going to go to hell. It's made the environment better.
Sure.
Right. And, we're able to grow the offerings. We're up in attendance this year when a lot of camps, not just scout camps, are down because kind of the mindset of, I don't want to sound like an old guy, kids these days or parents these days. Summer camp is not a norm anymore, right?
Right.
And so the fact that we're still in a growth pattern, and we just had major capital investments. We just had $1 million investment in our dining hall from a longtime family bequest that we worked with the benefactor before his passing. Shows things are in the up and up, and there's a need for that outdoor leadership and solving problems and charting your own path, right?
Yeah.
If I had $1 for every parent who came up to me on Friday night and said, when I dropped my kid off, he was teary-eyed, was afraid of the unknown, didn't know what to do, and now I'm literally prying him away and saying, hey, maybe I'll come back as a Thunderbird, right? And that growth mindset is huge, and I don't know many other environments. Right. In 2026, sports certainly have their piece that is very important to get, but there's something in scouting that is so unique.
Well, if I may, I would. Sure. And Pat did a great thing this year that one of these things was good.
As I say, just one.
Just the positive ones.
But it really got to the issue of what scouting is. It's about leadership development. And Pat instituted a program with the assistance of some great Scout staff members that brought in people from the outside on a weekly basis. And one of those, I think there was a story related about one of the persons was a chief of staff of somebody that was an Eagle that worked on staff or was a camper. And that connection's always there. So if you could talk about that.
So it's been on my to-do list for a while was to have a what I was calling a camp leadership series, right? So in addition to all the things that are Scout Camp, outdoor skills, swimming, shooting, all that stuff.
Cope.
Right.
Was a big one.
Bringing in folks who are leaders in their field, right? That can be, in a close-up type thing. Because when you're 13, 14, 15 years old, you don't have access to some, leaders in their own field. And so this summer we brought in the executive officer of the sub base in New London, Commander Legree, who's an Eagle Scout himself. We had actually contacted the COO of the base, and he was going to come out, and then at the last minute said, you don't want to talk to me. The captain. He said, you want to talk to my number 2 on the base here. He's an Eagle Scout, and it was great. And, there were kids that were, looking at the military, learn more about how his path ended up where it did. The Bishop of Norwich came in, a brand new Catholic bishop out of Norwich, who was a scout, right, and a life scout, and came from Worcester and had some involvement there. And so, he was very quick, yes, come out. And, it's not very often, right, you see bishops tend to have a stoic sense to them. You think kind of the pageantry, right, to see the Catholic bishop of this region wearing a flannel shirt on Lumberjack Games Day, right, and blessing the ribs cooked on a canoe, right, and participating with the kids and hanging out and talking to them and doing the flags and the dining hall stuff, and then saying mass afterwards,
right.
And spent a significant amount of time talking with individual people afterwards. So I mean, he very approachable and very, very into the program. And just a resource that we need to look into.
There's a picture, and I didn't see it in the initial thing, that when the flag was coming down before everybody went to the barbecue, and the staff were all standing there, the scout sign, the scout salute, and the flag's coming down, and there's the bishop with the scout sign saluting the flag like everybody else.
Nice.
And then, the one Dave's referring to is I got a, kind of a call from one of the Governor Lamont's people. He was in the region doing a thing at Buell's Orchard. And they said, hey, he's going to be in Tolland at this time. Is there any place he should stop while he's in the region? And I said, well, I have an idea. How about stopping by the Scout Camp, talking with the senior patrol leaders, which are the top youth leaders, the CITs, and his scheduler, his body person said that Webster? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I went there as a kid.
Nah.
An Eagle Scout out of Middletown.
Wow.
Oh, that would be great, right?
Yeah.
And so the governor came by, spent about a half hour with scouts. They put a neckerchief on him, and it was just good organic conversation.
Nice.
We had reps from the National Guard and some other. So it was a great in the room for these, and Dave came up for a lot of these. To have bona fide leaders in their field in a room, not full of adults, right? Only a handful of adults, and with kids just having conversations organically,
right.
had a lot of value to that.
Yeah, it had a tremendous impact on those youth for those people in the room. I thought it was a great use of resources, and look forward to continuing that going forward.
Yeah, I know Governor Lamont came the week we were there.
Yeah.
And I know my son was the SPL this year at summer camp, and he couldn't say enough. He thought that was so cool to be like, holy
he had a
cow,
front row seat, literally.
Front row seat with the governor. Like, that's not something he was anticipating or anybody was anticipating that week.
He had a really good question cooked up too.
He did. I know he was a little disappointed. He
didn't quite have time to get into it, but
ask the question, but it was good. He wanted to say, how do you know as a leader if you're making the right decisions as you're making them, And
I was impressed with some of the other, because it all has a different flavor. You're talking to the bishop, it's a little different conversation.
Right.
Sure.
Talking to military leaders. We had that Major Bryce, who is now the battalion commander for recruitment and retention for the National Guard. He's fairly new to that role. He had done some combat time, and Commander Legree did some time on submarines. And one kid asked the governor, when you're faced with same thing, decisions, but you have people of lots of different opinions, how do you sort through the opinions and make a decision, which I thought from a 14-year-old was a very, very thoughtful question.
Very profound.
You know, and it wasn't about politics. It was about consensus building. But part of me thinks if you're a senior patrol leader, you're in a troop, a lot of what you do is try to build consensus, right?
Right.
And so, it just basically reiterated we need more scouts and keep
It's
leadership
amazing
positions.
how many different opportunities scouts get for scenarios like that. A few years back, I got to go to Jamboree with my oldest, and they had all kinds of stuff. Jamboree is just like the Super Bowl of scouting. I mean, it's incredible. But one of the things that Anthony got to go to, and I'm a little jealous because I couldn't get in. I didn't get in line soon enough. Was he got to speak with one of the living Medal of Honor recipients?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it was a huge deal to him.
Yeah.
And to me as well. But he has pictures with him, and it was him and his wife. He got the pictures with, and he signed the what do you call it, brochure or the pamphlet from that event, and he's got his signature and stuff. And I'm like, Anthony, you got to hold on to that. I'm like, you don't understand. The chance to meet a living Medal of Honor recipient
a big
is
deal.
a very,
Yeah.
very small percentage.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where else in the world would he have gotten that opportunity?
Right. Right.
And he cherishes it,
Yeah.
It's one of those really cool things that he'll get. Besides the Eagle Scout, it's one of those like, hey, I met this person, and when I was, what was he, 14, I think, when we went? 13? I think he was 13.
Yeah, that's really something. I know I worked arena security at Mohegan Sun for like a year or so, and did a lot of events. That's what they do in the arena. They just put 1, 2, 3 on a week, and you get put on celebrity detail, and never got awestruck until soldiers came through. And then the idea of meeting the caliber of one that's received the Medal of Honor would just that would make me just melt. I don't know how else to explain it, but meeting Steven Tyler, not the same effect. Just, like,
Cast of Jesus Christ
no
Superstar.
offense, no offense to them. They have a lot of talent, but I escorted him around the casino and his drummer, and they're nice enough people. It's just like to me, the whole soldier thing just takes.
Well, but that's servant leadership, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the bar you try to set.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
Celebrity and leaders are often two different things.
Very,
Yes.
yeah. John, if you don't mind, talk a little bit more about Jamboree. What was that like as a whole?
It's sometimes it's hard to put it into words because there's just so much stuff going on that it's hard to take it all in. But for us to get out of our area and go down to Bechtel Reserve down in Virginia, West Virginia, I'm sorry, and be with, I think when we were there, it was, I want to say it was like 35,000 scouts that year.
35,000.
I think that, is that, no?
I think that year it was closer to probably 25.
Oh, okay.
20.
I'm off.
Well, it's still
But
a lot of scouts.
I have videos of we were marching, all the scouts were marching out to this area where it was one of the big events, one of the big shows, and I don't remember who the artist was, but I come to find out the artist was an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
I believe he was an Eagle Scout. But you got this line that was like 2 miles long. We're trying to get pictures of everybody marching up to this stage. And, there was just events like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into words because I never got to do scouting. I'm living vicariously through my sons and seeing what it's all about. And I wish I had this when I, was growing up because I would have loved it, especially being a military kind of guy anyways. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I enjoy it so much now is it reminds me of that camaraderie and the leadership and the adapting to the situation and just making it happen, finding a way.
Yeah.
But Jamboree was a lot of fun, and I would highly encourage any scout who ever had the opportunity, to find a way to make it once during their tenure as a Boy Scout, kind of like a pilgrimage, right? It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
So I know Vinny will get his chance. We chose not to do it this year because he's still on the younger side.
Yeah.
I'd rather him go when he's closer to 17 because then he can really take
More advantage of the.
advantage of some of the higher, higher adventure type stuff, But But yeah, it was a great time, and I would totally do it again. I look forward to actually doing it again.
Have all of you guys been to a jamboree at one time?
Yes, I went as a kid in '97, and then as a college student in 2001, aging myself.
Well, I went as an adult in 13, 17, and a World Jamboree 19, and at the same location. My son went to a World Jamboree and a National Jamboree when he was a youth.
Wow. Well,
Never been.
never been. Same here.
Went to the Woodstock Fair.
I went to the
Very
Woodstock
similar.
Fair. Yeah, we did. Slept over there for 3 days. It was pretty close to the same
Yeah, that's right.
kind of event. But
Hey, we did have a local thing that we should, mention a couple years ago, and I think it might be coming back up again. There's a smaller, well, actually last year, Connecticut had our own, what was it called? Scout Show, which
Yeah, it was
was
Scout Show.
scouts from all over the area. A few years back, we did Mass Jam, which was out on a Cape, and that was like a very scaled down version of Jamboree, but there was scouts from all over New England.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. We had a great time.
we had a helicopter visit.
We had a
That was
helicopter.
really
that
great.
Well
Yeah.
aware of that.
Yep. That
Was that emergency
I had a
response?
tent until that.
very expensive tent.
A very expensive tent until that helicopter came.
Yep.
Thank you, Coast Guard.
That's
Were they showing up to be part of the show?
They were a demonstration that was landing in a very small area that they aborted the landing, and there was a number of things that were casualties, including our large tent.
That's wild.
Yeah,
That's really dangerous.
no, it's so being a helicopter guy, that was I'm an aircraft mechanic, my first trade, and having to land helicopters all over the world and United States. It's not dangerous if you do it right. They didn't have the correct. They didn't do the correct thing. We'll just put it that way. They should have been there beforehand to make sure that the rotor wash band was far enough out from the radius of where they were going to land, and that kind of stuff just got missed. I think it was an oversight.
Right, but the summer at camp, Lifestar landed twice. Did demonstrations in the middle of the parade field, and for a lot of kids, it was like the first time they'd been up close to a helicopter before.
Yeah.
And so the Cub Scouts, the younger kids, love it even more. Like
For sure.
Just their eyes and
I'm 52 and I love it.
It's the older they are, the probably more they're just like trying to be cool.
Right.
But they all love it.
Yeah, right.
Who doesn't love a
Lifestar is a fairly small helicopter. Compared to some others.
So I'll tell you a story about my version of a helicopter story. So there's a gentleman who's now the president of the board for Connecticut Rivers Council, who is proud to point out that in 2006, I think he landed a helicopter on the field.
He did.
Nice guy, great guy. So that motivated me to do a camp out and get a helicopter. So I did a camp out at the Brooklyn Fair as a district camporee when we got Lifestar to come, and that was a great thing. So the point there is that anybody can get a helicopter.
You call the right thing into 911, you get out.
Yeah. Right. I'm glad you got over your chest pain.
Don't want to pay that price tag. Ask the kids in New Hampshire about that.
Wow. So, what else did you? So you had the Lifestar land twice. Was that like? Did you have any other?
Well, we also ran an aviation program for the first time this
okay.
year. So we had a volunteer, Jeff Clark out of Middletown, who was the instructor for it, came up. We really did it in 2 blocks. It was kind of the classroom stuff. They had to make model airplanes and fly them. And then Wyndham Airport opened their doors to us. So later in the week, kids jumped on a bus, went down to Wyndham Airport. And a lot of the pilots who keep their own planes there were more than happy to open up the hangars and walk through the pre-check with them all and have them do their own pre-checks and stuff. And again, another hands-on experience that
Right.
you just, where else do you get that type of thing?
Right.
And so that was a big deal. And so the Lifestar is going to land a couple more because they need X number of training hours.
Okay.
And the weather wasn't good for a couple of them. One of them, they had a call. To do their job.
Go save lives.
Go save lives, I get it. As far as that goes. The other kind of cool thing this year is we built a partnership with Crabapple Whitewater in Deerfield, which is a world-class whitewater rafting kayaking group. So we used to run our own whitewater trips to the Terrafield Gorge section in Farmington.
Okay.
And so you do all the training in camp, and then you go there, and we would staff it and bring in folks. And so, Terrafil's, when it rains a lot, it is quite a significant gorge.
Where's that at?
Farmington, Simsbury, Farmington. But when it's not raining, it's like a couple bumps in the river. And so the Deerfield does a release every day.
Oh, okay.
So, we took the trek up there, but kids went up by a bus after doing the training in camp, and then ran the 2s, 3s, and light 4s up there, which was a huge success. A lot of great feedback, legit whitewater, and again, an experience that not everybody does.
Did they not have one episode where it was a little more exciting than it was a day after it rained?
Yeah, they did not. It was the day after the torrential rain. Yeah. We didn't go the normal path because it was 4s and up, and they went farther downriver, which was, it's pretty significant when that's normally like a 2 and that type of stuff. But again, hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Learn the classroom, practice in a safe environment, and then do that. And
I think the moral of the story is that it's not just sleeping in a tent and eating in a dining hall, right?
Right.
The stuff you do at camp, it's available at camp, is broad in scope and scale, and there's something for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. My daughter's part of the Girl Scouts, who we had on 2 weeks ago, and both my kids have been cooking for years now on their own, over fire, over the stove, those types of things. And their friends come over and that aren't in Scouts and don't really do that.
Cooking is a valuable skill.
It's wild, especially Troop 44 has a lot of cooks.
Yeah, we have a good time cooking in our troop.
Yeah.
It's something that I wish that the Scouts, we always tell them to talk to their friends. Encourage them. Hey, bring a friend.
Yeah.
Bring a friend to Scouts. Show them what it's all about. And the stuff that they learn, we have a good time learning. Yeah, sometimes they can be dry, I guess. But that's just the Scouts learning how to be leaders. It's them learning how to present the material, and that takes practice.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of fun stuff. I mean, you guys know, Troop 44, past couple of years, we don't do it every year, but it's been every other year we've done it now for 6 years, where we've gone up to northern Maine and hit the Kennebec and did whitewater rafting.
Right.
Yeah.
This year, we spent 4 days up there where we did 1 day of team building, high ropes course exercises. Then we took, what do they call the little rafts? There was a name for them. You remember, Justin?
I don't. Little 4-person.
Was it
bucket boats?
Bucket boats.
Oh,
it's basically a scaled down version of a regular whitewater raft. We took those down the east outlet, which is the outlet from Moosehead Lake, and we went down the river in our own boats without guides.
Wow.
So the Scouts and then one leader were in a boat, and we went down our own rapids. So they were 1, 2, and 3. And then we spent the night out on island. We got food out there. We got to go jump in the lake and jump off the dock and this, that, and the other. And then the next day we did the real whitewater rafting, which was the Kennebec. And it was a great time. And nobody walked away from that one not wanting to go back again.
Right.
And I think it's one of those things that, you may not get that opportunity in other avenues unless you have, people that know that kind of stuff's out there to go do.
Right.
But I think that goes back to the time you spend on those dry areas prepares the Scouts to be able to go on trips like that.
Yep.
If they don't have those skills in advance, they're not going to be able to do things safely or have the fun at that next level. So it's a building block process for some of the Scouts.
Right, and it gives them a full scope of planning, researching where you're going, calling people and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. Do you guys offer that service, that kind of thing? And even to your point where you guys had a lot of rain, those Scouts got to see the adjustment in that, where not everything goes to plan.
Right.
It's
well, and I think it's also important. Every troop is different. Right, so that's your tradition 44 has. Some troops are not as active, right? And so kind of when we're designing a summer camp program, we want to design for troops to do things that 44, like you probably wouldn't take up on whitewater because you do something like that. But there are some troops that don't have access to more the adventure type stuff. So we very much try to make it so that you can't do everything in a week at camp.
Right.
And you can kind of tailor your adventure to what your troop may or may not do year round.
Yeah, and we our scouts. To your point, we didn't have a lot doing anything even with the canoes. Just maybe the swimming badge, but the kids like the ATVs.
Yep.
Yeah, nobody did. There's virtually no place.
Right.
Yeah, other than somebody's backyard with their dad teaching.
Yeah,
That gets
unfortunately.
super
You can
sketchy.
do ATVs.
The ATV thing. A lot of our scouts like the archery and shooting and welding,
Metalworking.
the metalwork,
Very
blacksmith
cool.
thing. That was
Well, and to the point about shooting is, there's not a lot of places for a youth or an adult, right, to learn, safe gun handling, shooting, those types of things. And Scout Camp has been doing them since almost day one. Right?
Yeah.
Marksmanship
Yeah.
has always been a big part of it. And I contend that in a safe, controlled environment
Yeah.
with really seasoned, good instructors and ratios. Kids just don't show up and then shoot.
Right.
There's a whole process, the safety askect, the skills that we'll learn in life. Right,
Yeah.
always point
Oh,
guns
yeah.
away from people, downrange.
Yeah.
Know if it's loaded. There's nowhere else virtually that is. Even a lot of camps don't do that anymore. Some will do maybe archery, but not a lot. Maybe some BB. And so that's something we're proud of as well, to be able to have those safe
Yeah.
environments.
Right.
I learned to shoot at Scout Camp. Right.
Oh yeah. Oh, wow. I learned on my grandfather's knee at
Yeah.
4.
I was gonna say, I learned
Or driving an ATV behind the bar. Right?
yeah, that too. We had 3-wheelers. It shows my age. It is, there's so many good things that I just wish that we could get it out more. We're very fortunate that the superintendent of Brooklyn Schools is highly. She loves the scouting program. She loves having the scouts, participate in stuff, and gives us the opportunity to do things. But it just seems like there's such a hard time with parents. They're fighting for time, right? You have soccer, baseball, gymnastics, band lessons, this, that. And I feel like scouting has, it suffered a little bit because they forget about it.
Yeah.
It's not as loud as, soccer,
Yeah.
or, you know what I mean? It's some of those things just take precedence. But for the people that know about it, they love it. I mean,
Right.
look at our retention.
Yeah.
Yes, we will lose 1 or 2 scouts here and there, but for the most part, I mean, I'm going to point right at Justin. Justin's son was my first group of Lions. So the year after the Lion program was, we ran not a soft launch. I forget.
And
what
that's
they
like
called
first or second grade?
Kindergarten.
That's kindergarten. Okay.
it. So I had one other scout, but I wasn't technically the Cub Master at that time. I was filling in, but I wasn't technically the Cub Master. When I became Cub Master, Justin's son and his den, which was like 14 at one time, were my first group of Lions. And I can't wait for the day that Menden earns his eagle. And I can know that, I watched him go from a Lion to an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
But, it's great that we have this program in town. I just wish that more kids wanted to learn about it and come check us out, because we do have a really good retention.
You think it's the kids or the parents that,
That's a good point.
is it
Chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Probably never answer it.
I was put into scouts as a kid because my dad was a scout, right? And so that was just kind of the natural, and probably the same.
Same, yep.
That age going in, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so there, just pure numbers, there are alums that their kids aren't going into scouting, and the question is why? Is it because there's just so much more to offer? Is it because we're in the digital age?
Well, for me, I was a scout for 1 year as a kid, 3rd grade. Just did Cub Scouts. I think there was like 6 of us in the den, and the leaders at that time were not going to be leaders the next year, and we all kind of quit. I don't think any of them stayed in. I realized pretty early that my kid needs to keep moving.
Sure.
He needs a schedule. Needs likes to do stuff with his hands. Very good with tools and
Sure.
balance, that type of thing. And I felt like scouts would be a great time for that, to let him express that energy, and then also it's designated time with your kid.
That's a part I love.
And that's such a huge thing. We're like, oh, we go camping once a once a month, take a weekend, and it's you and the boys, and
But it can be family too. It's a
Right.
whole family, because
Yeah.
we'll be the first to admit that in the beginning, it was just, me and Anthony, Anthony and I. And then Vinny was old enough. And then Amy started volunteering. I mean, it's a family thing for us.
For
Like
sure.
a lot of people, like, how do you find time to do this? We're so busy. I'm like, look at my calendar between scouts and my business and this and that. And I'm like, we don't have a free minute, but I'll tell you what, scouts takes priority in our family because we made that decision to put that at the top of the priority list.
yeah.
And that was hard when I was, working my career and having to explain to my bosses, like, hey, no, this is what I'm doing. Well, you can't take that vacation time. Well, I am, and that's just how it is. This is, this is
And
when I
now he
go to
works for
camp.
himself.
And now I work for myself. And you know what? And I don't regret it, because I was not going to give up my dedicated family time, which is scouts.
Right.
I love it. I love the program. I love seeing what it's done.
I'll
for
give
my
you.
boys.
I'll give you a plug. You can find some fine JG Creation products in the Trading Post, the Scout Shop at J and Webster. One of our great vendors.
Thanks, Pat.
You got it. Good local veteran-owned business. You
Yeah.
should check them out if you haven't.
Yeah, John's always bringing us trinkets and T-shirts and all kinds of cool things from his laser beams and my laser on there. Yeah, so like it.
But it's a great, I think, we didn't hit the plug on it yet, but something that came up on our last high adventure trip, Justin and I were sitting around we're up at Adventure Bound, where we just got back from being in the woods for a couple of days, and we're sitting there drinking I don't know, we probably found coffee, I imagine, at that point. And it was like 8 o'clock at night, and we started just chatting. We started brainstorming ideas for the troop. Like, hey, what would be some cool ideas that we could start, looking at ways to grow the troop? And one of the ones that came up is, let's do our typical November camp out. We would usually go hike a mountain. That's usually what we do in November for Veterans Day. And we've done it every year. This year, we're like, well, let's try something different. And like, let's go to the fairgrounds, and maybe we can have like a camp out that's a low-key camp out, but it has a big potential to be a recruiting event, because people who are interested could come see how we set up for camping, do some primitive type stuff, cooking with, over fire, Dutch ovens, the kind of stuff that we love to do, and show some of the youth in our neighborhood what we do. And then the icing on the cake would be, after we got rid of them, we bring the parents in, and then we could do like a traditional, like our Thanksgiving dinner with trash can turkeys and homemade bread stuffing and the whole shebang.
Yeah.
But getting the parents there, because that's the one thing you lose in Boy Scout or Scouts BSA, is the parent involvement goes away, unless you're a leader, like a scout.
Unless you want to.
Right, unless you want to be a
Right,
leader.
right.
They don't have to be there like they do in Cub Scouts.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a disconnect where the parents don't really know what their kids are capable of.
Right.
Like, hey, why are you packing your kids' stuff? I've seen them literally cook a whole meal, pack their backpacks for a camp out, do this, do that. Why are you still doing this for them?
Well, and that's what we see over a week at camp too, right?
Yeah.
And a kid does a couple of weeks at camp. Sometimes their parents are like, it's a different kid, right? Because there's that piece of individual responsibility.
Yeah.
Which again you don't see in a lot of other places.
Yeah, it pushes that independence
Yep.
envelope
Oh, absolutely.
every gathering, every
Yep.
time.
Well, and to build on that, it's a function of kids want that. They need that ability to be on their own and do things on their own. We have a tendency as parents to kind of control too much for them. Pat alluded to the fact that I helped out check-in medical, and the amount of literally kids coming with boxes of meds. And part of our process is to communicate directly with the scout on what is happening with the meds, what they need to do. And you'll have a parent standing there because we need the parent there, but the parent will then respond. And we've actually said, no, I'm talking to the scout. So we need to have that. Scouts, youth need to have that opportunity to fail in a safe environment. And I've always viewed scouting as that opportunity or that ability.
That's one of my favorite sayings with the scouts. When I'm up there doing a Scoutmaster Minute, I'm like, this is the best place in the world for you to fail. It is the safest place that you'll ever be for failure. And that's how you learn. You learn by doing it wrong and we're going to make sure you don't get hurt. Nothing's going to happen, but we want you to fail because that's how you learn.
Right.
You learn from your mistakes. Most people don't hit it out of the park their first time around.
And there's a certain amount of repetition, which might be the dry part you were alluding to, where there's always something about knife safety, in every rank. There's always something about personal fitness. There's always something about personal management, hygiene management. There's first aid in every rank, to go for every rank. There's a requirement of all these basic things that it just keeps kind of hammering it home. So they learn, by the time you're an Eagle Scout, you've put in a lot of reps with putting Band-Aids on or
tying knots
and stuff like
to
that.
add to the Eagle Scout concept we talked about, they're still relevant and there's value in that. But if you look at it from a purely practical perspective, by the time a youth has become an Eagle Scout, they've done at least 6 job interviews.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they go through
That's
a board
huge.
of review process. They know how to talk to adults. They know how to look somebody in the eye and answer a question. And I always used to say to parents when I was Scoutmaster is, look, we want your son to be well-rounded. Go play sports. We're here for him when it's available. Just remember, if he wants to move along, he's got to participate. And at the end of the day, you're not going to put on your resume that you were captain of the rec basketball team. You will put on your resume that you're an Eagle Scout, and that stays with you for life. And,
Right.
and to John's point, that message needs to be broadcast louder and harder and more emphatically, to the degree that people understand, yes, there's value in doing all this stuff, but if you want, and obviously we're all jaded because we're part of the program, but we think the best way to learn and congeal all this information is through scouting. The other stuff helps, but
Right.
not everybody's going to be the next Derek Jeter or Willie Abreu or whoever, right? So you need to have a balance, and I think scouting provides that opportunity.
Yeah, there's definitely, the percentage of being even a professional athlete at any sport versus the percentage and availability to be an Eagle Scout. Like there's a huge opportunity there. You know what I mean? Whereas being paid to play with a ball is kind of far fetched.
And the skills you learn along the way are different,
Right.
And
Right.
having gone through the scouting program, seen a lot of youth go through the program, and my son in particular, right? So you can see that they may not have all become Eagle Scouts, but they still learn stuff.
Right. And they still have that camaraderie,
Right.
that
That
team
shared
building,
experience.
the small, if you stay in one place long enough, you tend to know everybody.
Well, we travel. I mean,
And
you and I,
that helps that. It's another circle of friends and buddies and support you can have.
between your business, my business, and I'm sure these guys, Pat, same. We're always networking with different things. And how many times are you at an event where you're talking, you're like, oh yeah, I'm involved with my scouts. I'm the committee chair for Troop 44. I'm Scoutmaster, and they're like, oh yeah, I was a scout. I only made it to life, but man, those were some of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
I remember going camping, and they start pulling out memories.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking people 40 to 60 years old, and they're like, oh, I remember some of my best summers were at such and such a camp, and because we meet people from all over the place.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times I'll run into like, oh, I'm an Eagle Scout, and it's like, and you just never. It's just that it's a very small group, and it means a lot. And I mean, Pat said it straight up. You find a way to congregate. It's kind of like me and military guys.
right.
We could find each other and
Yeah.
very quickly and easily. It's a demeanor thing, and I think it same holds true for the Eagle Scouts. They, you want to see a group that's organized and stuff like that. You're gonna look around. That's where you're gonna find them. They're getting stuff done. They're organized. Don't get me wrong. It takes a while to get them there sometimes. But
And I think that's one point I'd like to make is going back to the parent versus scout thing. It's not easy all the time, and it doesn't come naturally. These skills aren't something that are innate in everybody. So it gets a little challenging at times if people are in a leadership position in the troop. Maybe something doesn't go according to plan. That may be hard on them, but we try to work them through that. I think parents need to be part of that understanding of what we are trying to do so they can pull them through the other side to get through adversity, because sometimes I think something gets hard nowadays, and well, okay, I'm done doing that. And I think that people need to stick through stuff, and my son included. At times, his what he's doing or what he's thinking about, I'm like, holy moly! But
Yep.
we stay on it. All of a sudden, you turn around and you see what is happening, and you're watching them grow before your eyes, and it's really, really powerful what the program can do for people.
Yeah, if you don't mind me saying, when we were at June Norcross in July, we saw Menden kind of take a turn there where he led, and he was a great leader. And there's been definitely some challenges of him, whether or not he wants to lead or if he wants to hang out and have fun. And sometimes leadership isn't always the hang out and have fun part. And he's really come a long way from when he was voted in as SPL to now. And I can almost see him doing another term just because
Summer camp is a great crucible.
he's fit into it.
That's what I
Yeah,
was just gonna say.
yeah,
It's a very intense opportunity or intense experience for somebody who's never really had to step up and be that person. And when you've got 15, 20 people that you're now responsible for 24/7, I experienced it as a youth. My son experienced it, and I'm sure every youth that's gone through that position in that environment has had that
Well,
experience.
the other thing I think is worth notable about Troop 44 and kind of the bar that you guys have set is you had a scout this summer that came with the troop, Sammy, who has
yeah.
some physical challenges.
yeah.
And I watched the troop. Like, Sammy's one of theirs. They weren't going to back that. So,
Yeah.
and one of the most wholesome things is at the end of the week when the barbecue and he's getting ready to go, Sammy looked over at the scouts and said, "See you, fellas."
Yeah.
And I thought that was like one of the most wholesome moments.
Yeah.
Because, the troop was acting as a team.
Yeah.
And supportive.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to leave one of their team behind.
Right.
And,
For
and,
sure.
that was, a really good mark of the tone that I think the troop set.
I think
Yeah.
the summer camp, and I've seen it time and time and time again, both from Cub Master, Den Leader, and now Scout Master. It's such an awesome opportunity and program for the youth to be outside of their comfort zone. On many occasions, we have seen scouts that have come in, they're timid, they're shy, they're nervous, it might be their first time really away from home.
Little Pat Boyd.
And and
Little
I
Pat
have-
Boyd wasn't that little.
but and then you see them come out of their shell and they just love it. They take it 100%. And by the end of the week, they are just having a blast. I didn't get to go to camp this year, and it kind of like years of in the making. I heard about how awesome Troop 44 was this year. You guys got awards, Super Scout Awards, and the I don't even know
Spirit
how,
Award,
I don't even know
the
how to pronounce it.
Teacup
because of the
Award.
The Teacup Award.
The sirloin.
Yeah.
You got the sirloin,
Sirloin.
yeah.
But I got a video sent to me. It was my birthday, and one of the other leaders sent me a video of Vinny singing Wagon. You can't.
Red Wagon.
Yeah.
Little Red
Little Red Wagon. And he was like, and he's never been like that kid. And he was so into it. And I was like almost dying. And Amy and I are watching it on the phone, just like crying. We're laughing so hard. And I'm like, that's what it's all about.
Yep.
It brings them out of their shells. I remember Anthony when he was shy. Now look at him. He doesn't shut up. He's kind of like me.
You said it.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely, and we're in it, so we understand a lot of it. But there's also parents that I would like other parents to know that it doesn't have to be a full-time thing. Like as a leader, we 1 hour a week, and but like there are other times when a parent, if they're good at knots, they could come in and do knots.
Oh, absolutely.
They wouldn't have to be a full-fledged leader. There's other aspects I feel like that the other parent should know as well. That we had a parent set up a fundraiser for us with Mason's Lodge.
Yeah, the
breakfast
Masonic
there,
breakfast.
Masonic
Yep.
Lodge. Yeah, and
Lodge.
that was really great because each of the kids got to put a little money in their account, and
Yeah.
and it was something the same 6 leaders didn't have to kind of deal with, you know. So it's always nice when we have that teamwork from the parenting end as well. So, and speaking of that, we're gonna have the chicken barbecue at the Brooklyn Fair.
Brooklyn Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you'll find the two of us
Yeah.
we camped out, and Dave. Dave gets to come over as well.
All the parents and the scouts basically run a chicken barbecue restaurant for the weekend. So I'm actually kind of excited. I think it's fun working the pit and cooking chicken and
Just don't let him near the sprayer.
I'll never live that down.
For years, the Troop 44 chicken barbecue used to be where all the legends of 44 used to come out.
Indeed.
The old curmudgeons that were here from the other day. I believe that's you now.
We do pull out a couple.
We still have one.
Chuck
pull out a
Thorlow, Ted, and it was the who's who of Brooklyn over the years.
Who, by the way, or that group was very instrumental in establishing J and Webster as a camp and continuing and encouraging and ensuring that it continued. So yes, 44 has a great reputation with respect to the camp, and as Mr. Boyd said, there was a significant cadre of older individuals that would be regulars at the barbecue. You know, Mr. Potato Head, he just passed away this past winter.
Mr. Potato Head?
Yeah, I just forgot his name. Darn it, I'll remember it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
I'm just thinking I have to Google Mr.
I
Head.
know.
I don't have an obituary.
Jane Sipla would remember because she.
So he did the potatoes.
He was
'Cause
the
we
potato,
do a baked
yeah.
potato. You
Yep.
get half a chicken, a baked potato, an ear of corn, a biscuit
Roll.
Roll, yeah.
or roll.
When did it? I'm curious. You piqued my interest. When did the barbecue start?
So I actually don't have the exact start date. I've been informed it was in the mid '60s.
Okay.
And so I've had some connections with some folks that were around at that time, and nobody can give me a specific date. Arnie Arnio is a gentleman who I connected with, whose father was in charge at one point back in the 60s and 70s. And Mr. Arnio is a great story. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but he lives up in Vermont and whatever. But the point is, it's been around a while, and it's been originally a 3-day fair and then expanded to a 4-day fair.
Well, it's one of the few buildings on this fair site that is.
So it's one of the
nonprofit.
there's three nonprofit facilities left. The Elks, the Grange out of I think Thompson,
Sterling.
Sterling,
Sterling.
either north, south, whatever. And then us, and so yeah, there's a variety of food, and obviously we're probably on the pricier end, but you get a full meal and you get a place.
There's
to sit
nowhere
down.
else you get a full meal. I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
man can't live off blooming onion alone.
It is the best deal on the fairgrounds.
That's what I say with, like, it's a great, if you haven't had dinner, you go get a dinner from us and you've at least had
Yes.
something somewhat healthy, and then you can go.
And I don't
You're
think
not-
we're really that bad. I mean, let's be honest. You're getting a half a chicken, an ear of corn, a baked potato, a fresh roll from Soleil Bakery,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
That corn is unbelievable too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the corn we get is,
It's all
And
local.
what does it cost?
Local farm.
Local cost, local supplies.
$18.
$18
That's
for
a low
meal.
price.
Yeah.
that's how low?
That's a low price.
So it is the best value on the fairgrounds, right? So I think at the end of
For
the
a
day,
full meal, yeah.
yeah, if you're looking to, you can't walk anywhere else and spend $18
No.
for
Plus the
4 parts of a
20
meal.
ounce sodas, or
The meal deal. I don't. What's
just the 20 ounce soda. I thought we were on the
spot.
cheaper side.
Oh, we're
too.
definitely on
They're
the
like
cheaper
$2
side.
or $3
Yeah.
or something, which is pretty low for what other sodas are.
No, and it's the other thing is that if you look at it almost like the popcorn program and everything else, you're not just buying a meal, you're supporting scouting.
Right.
Right.
So, people are gonna make sure that they're supporting us. They know that when they buy the food, they see the scouts. That's the best part of it. That is our time to shine, where I'm out there taking a break every now from the pit and trying to talk to people about scouting, tell them about our troop. You see younger kids.
You got some followers that every year. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the scouting families are all coming together, and we're making them come together and work hard.
It's a big
for the
task.
fundraising.
It's a big
that
It's a
they
lot
do.
of. It is a lot of
it's
work.
a big deal.
It's our biggest fundraiser of the year that basically allows us to put on the program that we want. It pays for the awards. It pays for entrance fees when we go camping, when we go to different events. It pays for upkeep of our troop gear. It pays for some of the meals that we provide, every now and
It
then.
subsidizes a lot of the
Yep.
a lot of the
Camper
tickets
ships.
and camper ships. And
I mean, it's
Each
everything
of the
that we do for
scouts.
the whole year. That chicken barbecue is the majority of how we run the program that we do.
What was the camper ship this year for summer camp? We gave was it
I think it was
one
150.
150
and then
per
it-
scout?
Kid.
Yeah, per scout, and then there was also another camper ship for the high adventure trip.
So I refer to that as the subsidy, right? So
Subsidy.
the camp and
Terminology.
right. So the only reason I make a distinction is because there are camper ships available from the council, but we also have a camper ship. If there's a need for a scout in Troop 44, there will be additional money set aside. No, I mean, what I tried to get across as a committee member is, look, the money should never be a barrier to anybody
any of
to
the
scouting.
scouts to have the opportunity.
Right. So I will, and I've said this to all of you before, I will work the barbecue and cook chicken for 4 days to help scouts get to scouts.
Right.
If I start seeing money being spent on stuff that I don't think is reasonable, then I may pull back my support. But at the end of the day, we're doing this for the scouts, and we need to make sure that we get the money to the scouts. And I'll get off my soapbox, but I think I appreciate everybody's effort and support, and the fact that we've been able to do this every year for nigh 60 years plus.
Wow.
It's been a tremendous effort, and it will hopefully continue in the future after I retire, which may be sooner rather than later.
Then you get to be part of us all the time once you retire.
No, retire from the scout.
Oh, yeah, you tell yourself that. That's yeah.
You can check out whenever you want.
Check out anytime you'd like, but you can never leave.
As Mr. Boyd said, I've become the old curmudgeons that I used to complain about.
Well, guys, I mean, if there's anything else you want to add to the conversation, please feel
No,
free
I
to
would
jump
just
in.
I would just add, if there's a parent out there that's thinking about it, there's opportunities to kick the tires. You're not going to regret it.
Yeah.
I look, to the skills that I have as an adult and can trace them right back to scouting and being outside of your comfort zone and doing things for the first time. There is no better leadership program than scouting, period.
Yeah, and if you're a parent that's worried about the electronic end with how easy it is to email and text, where maybe your kid's not coming that far along with verbal communication, this is a program that we force them to talk to each other. We force them to get up and they'll hold class about knots or something. And when I say force, it's a playful force, not
Guide them and encourage.
guide and encourage. And but it's part of it, and they'll see their friends doing it, and then a lot of times they'll partner up and they'll both hold a class, and it's we have the buddy system that's always encouraged and at camp when you're for safety things, and then the buddy thing is really great when you're trying to achieve something too, achieving it together. So I love it for that fact. If Thursday at 7 to 8:30 is when my kid's not on a phone, and
It's a win-win.
and that's all we get for the week, that's fine. We've won something for the week.
So you mentioned it again, and we'll just say it for anybody who's listening. If you are interested in Troop 44, we meet on Thursday nights from 7 to 8:30 at the Brooklyn Elementary School gym, and we'd love to have you come check us out.
Yep, my phone number is public, 860-428-6534. You can call me. You can reach out to the Community Workbench podcast@gmail.com. JG Creations, he would field the call, I'm sure.
Or you can even go to just scouting.org, and it gives you
It's
all the
Yeah.
different groups all over the United States.
scouting.org or beascout.org.
Or be a scout.org.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
coming out. glad you could all make it again. And I don't know, let's do it again next year.
Sounds good. We need a campfire though, around the campfire.
Well, it's,
That would be better.
making this equipment mobile has been. I get it to work while it's sitting here, and I'm just thankful for that. So,
One of those little simulated flower fires.
we can have a candle next time. All right, we'll do that. All right, thank you everybody for watching. The Community Workbench family is promoting the Be the One campaign. It was started by the American Legion in efforts to stop veteran suicide. If you know a veteran, call them. Be the one to check in on them. For more details, visit betheone.org. Also, please extend this to all first responders as well. The Quiet Corner Peer Support Group is a great resource for help when dealing with PTSD. Next week, August 27th, we will have Elijah Fontenot. They have a platform called Wed Begin, and it's pretty much everything you need for weddings. It's a one-stop shop type of thing. So excited to have them, and we'll see you next week. As always, buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, donate local, check out scouting locally, and have great days.